Hi guys, should you buy the new Sony ZV-E10 or choose the A6400? That's a good question. Let's talk about it. I'm just going to put down my apple juice here. So in my last video, I talked about how everybody seems to be missing something about the ZV-E10 in all the reviews I'm seeing. People are marketing it as a vlogging camera, blah, blah, blah. I'm sure you've seen it all, but what I think the camera is basically an updated A6400. However, they are called different things. They didn't say this is the new A6400 and call it the A6900. They called it the ZV-E10. Which I still think is a terrible name. But the question is, with the cameras so similar in so many ways, which one should you buy? So what I will do is tell you the differences between the two so that you can make a more informed decision. Now, to me, the ZV-E10 belongs in the ranks of the A6000 series, but Sony has decided to market it to vloggers, so they gave it to every YouTuber and their mom, and they walked out and they had that rolling shutter and the jittery footage because it doesn't have stabilization, and then they talked about if you do stabilization, it crops too far in, because it really isn't a great walkabout vlogging camera, but it can be a great camera for you, and I will explain towards the end of the video how that is the case. So I'll tell you the advantages that the A6400 has over the ZV-E10, and that the big one is the viewfinder, the built-in viewfinder here. This is a Sony A7 III. The viewfinder, you know, the thing, the eyepiece that you put up, the electronic viewfinder, that is 2.36 million dots on the Sony A6400, and that can make a big difference, especially if you're a photographer. You like to line up your shot and it's that nice bright sunny day. You want to put your eye up to the eyepiece. I gotta say, I use it all the time, almost exclusively when I'm taking pictures with my Sony A7 III. I use the viewfinder. The A6400 is more ruggedly built and is weather sealed and also has a little built-in flash. The flash you'll probably never use. If you're going to use flash for photography, you're probably going to use a real one, but it's still nice to have the inbuilt flash. But the weather sealing, that is another big deal for a lot of photographers. And now let's get to the advantages the ZV-E10 has over the A6400, and there are a few. A big one is the headphone jack. The ZV-E10 has a headphone jack so you can monitor your audio while you're trying to shoot video. The A6400 does not have that. It has the flip out screen, the fully 360-degree articulating screen, whereas the A6400, the screen only flips up, which is not great, especially if you want to put things in the hot shoe. I prefer the flip out screen, as most people do who are trying to shoot video, and some photographers actually prefer the flip-out screen as well. The ZV-E10 has eye detection in video mode, which the A6400 does not. It doesn't have continuous eye detect in video. It does have it in photo along with animal in photo, but not in video. Previously, you could only get that on the A6600. Sony says it has updated color science, so this one is a little bit subjective. Maybe you'll like the color science of the old A6400, but most people do not. People like the new color science of the Sony cameras, not the old one, and I am also one of those people. I think Sony's new color science is a lot better, so I think that's an advantage. It also has steady shot active mode, which is the mode that crops in to create the stabilization, and it's a really big crop, so to me, I wouldn't be using that much, but in terms of stabilization, I would definitely use the Catalyst Browse software that Sony gives you for free. Now the thing, it takes a long time to render your videos in the Catalyst Browse software, but the results are usually very, very good, so you could get steady footage with the ZV-E10, even though it looks like it'll all be shaky at first. Put it through the Catalyst Browse software, you'll get some really smooth footage. I was surprised that most of the people reviewing the camera, talking about it as a vlogging camera, very few of them mentioned Catalyst Browse, or if they did, it was just for a second, and instead they walked around showing all the shaky footage of the unstabilized ZV-E10. But what do I know? They didn't send me a camera, right? The ZV-E10 can also use the hot shoe mount on its body to power things like Sony's new shotgun microphone or the XLR capsule. So that's a big bonus. And speaking of microphones, it has a better built-in microphone than the A6400. Not that I would ever use that. I always have an external mic. I don't use what's on the camera, but I guess in a pinch, if you needed to, it's nice to know that the internal mic is better. It has that product showcase mode, which I would actually probably use because sometimes I hold things up to the camera, not necessarily a product, but I'm trying to show you something. It's like, hey, this is how this lens works. And I'm trying to show you on my Sony camera, but it's locked onto my face with this fantastic Sony autofocus that clings onto you like a jellyfish in the water, just stuck to you. So you're trying to show the lens, but you can't get it to focus unless you entirely cover up your face, and then it will focus on the thing. So it is nice to have the option to just press a button and I can hold this up and then I can even look. It's like, I'm looking at the lens, yet it's focusing on. That would be nice. It has a simplified button layout that can go between stills and slow motion and regular video, and I think on the go that'd be helpful for anybody. The ZV-E10 is actually a smaller camera, and it is also a lighter camera. The ZV-E10 I think is 342 grams, and the A6400 is 410 grams. I'll put it up on the screen in case I'm not right. But and while the A6400 is a very light camera, then having it even lighter is great because I can use cheap little gimbals and that don't support a whole ton of weight, and I can combine heavier lenses with my ZV-E10, put it on a little lightweight gimbal, and I have a fantastic easy setup. Like this thing, this is the Zhiyun Crane M. I'll put a link in the description for the updated version because this one's old. They have the M2 now, but that supports up to 720 grams, and I think it's $199, which for gimbals is pretty cheap. So you can put a ZV-E10 with a decent lens on that setup and still be under 720 grams, lightweight, cheap gimbal. It has better streaming capabilities. You can just plug in the camera and go. The A6400, you have to fool around a little bit more if you want to get streaming. You can do it, but it is not as easy. The audio and video doesn't sync the same way. The new Sony has a tally light and a red ring around the screen telling you when you're recording, and I think that is important. There's many a time I'm trying to record my Sony A7 III and I've pressed the record button twice and I'm not recording and I'm just talking like an idiot to the lens and nothing's happening. It has a vertical video feature so that when you turn the camera vertically, it can take those, you know, TikTok shots or the YouTube shorts or the Instagrams, and then you don't have to change it in post. It'll just go into post in the right orientation, and with the amount of vertical video people are shooting these days, I think that's good. It has a skin softening feature. You have 3 modes of skin softening, and that is stupid. It's just stupid. I don't know what kind of person you are. Maybe if you have some kind of makeup channel and you're not good at putting on makeup, you can do that skin softening thing that just looks awful. Don't do that. I'm not even going to use that as an advantage. I will write it down and cross it out because don't use the skin softening feature. Seriously. And they also say it has that background defocus thing where basically it can make your background out of focus or in focus, but that's just a manipulation of the shutter speed and the aperture, and you can do that on the A6400 yourself as long as you know some basics of a camera. Again, they say it's an advantage. I'm not buying it. I guess if you're brand new to cameras, the doctor has delivered you and he hands you a ZV-E10, I guess the baby will be able to work it a little easier. And the last major advantage, in my opinion, that the ZV-E10 has over the A6400 is the price. The ZV-E10 is $699 and the A6400 is $898 at the time of recording this on August 3rd, 2021. Now, the A6400 is a couple of years older, so you may be able to get discounts on it or sales, or maybe buy a used one, but at their retail price, the ZV-E10 is quite a bit cheaper. So, like a high school speech, in conclusion, what would I choose? Well, I gotta tell you, if you're a video shooter, and I am gonna go for the ZV-E10. It has too many features that I would use. I would be using the ZV-E10 as a second camera usually, or a gimbal camera, so I would definitely want it for the video purposes. Now, if you're someone who takes a lot of photos, I think it gets a little more complicated. Yes, the ZV-E10 can take very similar pictures to the A6400, but you don't have that electronic viewfinder, and you don't have that weather sealing, and a little bit of a less rugged construction. If I was only buying one camera, and I wanted that one camera to do both photos and videos for me full time, I would probably lean towards the A6400. But like I said, I'm a video guy that can occasionally take some photos, so for me, the ZV-E10 is definitely the way to go. So maybe this cleared it up for you, maybe it didn't, I don't know. I'm just glad you watched. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Okay, we'll see you again soon. Bye-bye. That's tasty apple juice.